Hey guys, it's Chris here with Work to Game, and it is Minecraft Monday. This week was a lot of cleanup around the base, and mostly just taking care of some odds and ends. It had gotten a little out of hand. We did get a quarry set up. This did require killing the wither. It did clip out of the cage because we tried saving on a few blocks, and we thought it wouldn't clip. And it clipped right at the end, and it went nuts and killed all of our livestock. So I'd recommend being a little more careful. Maybe do it in the nether. There's a really cool video out there where you can kind of use a piston to kind of glitch it if you really want to be super careful. And once you get this quarry set up, I recommend having it on some form of lever. I'm doing that by pushing everything through a capacitor, because otherwise it'll just tear through your power. Then it was time to go ahead and move extra utilities from just taking up some of the spare rooms in our main building to the actual final extra utilities building. So I finished up all the lunar and solar panels for the roof, put up a few wind, and then just started kind of some test builds and layouts and just have kind of a holding pattern for all the different types that'll be generating grid power. We'll need a lot of grid power for chunk loaders. I think water mills are going to be the most of it, but I don't want to just repeat the same thing. So I'll try building some towers for lava and things like that as well. Now the floors below this, at least for starters, are going to have 10 of every furnace type with the goal of getting the rainbow generators online. If you haven't looked into this mod before, or you haven't looked into it in a while, the rainbow generators generate an enormous amount of power as long as you have every other generator running at the same time. It's going to take a little bit of work to make sure that it's totally stable where they can all kind of run. It's going to take a lot of different kinds of farms. You have things like pink generators and culinary generators and things like that. That'll take kind of unique setups, so that should be a lot of fun. I did really want to finish this video this week. I got a little distracted trying to make the conduits that it's going to take to connect that much power to the parts of the base that are already using power, and that's all going to take place in a tunnel system that's being slowly cleared out underground, kind of like sewers. Cleaned up the mob farm just a little bit. If you aren't familiar with how this mob farm works, it's pretty simple. First, I kind of check out the loot here, make sure everything's still running nice. What I did is I just put filters on Ender IO pipes for now to just kind of put things in chests so I know where to find them. Long term, I'd like to push into the AE system, but I'm a little worried about that right now because it would just push all sorts of junk in there, and there's got to be a better way before it hits my drives. But the farm itself runs unbelievably simply. You simply go to the nether, kill wither skeletons in another fort until you get a drop of evil. It's a 5% drop, so I recommend looting or at least armor to keep you from dying to blazes, but it takes a bit. There is no more dark ritual, so if you've played with this mod before, it is now entirely done with this drop of evil. You lay out your dirt first, because once you have all your dirt out, once you right click one, it automatically spreads to all the adjacent tiles. Now it can still spread through the standard method if you want to expand it later, but I'd recommend laying out your dirt the first time so that you don't have to wait patiently. I built this farm with only one side, so obviously the second side I did have to expand to by putting a little dirt bridge there, waiting for it to cross over and then getting rid of the bridge. And I just covered it all in vector plates. Mobs can absolutely spawn on top of these, and the one thing I do recommend is, first of all, remember that holding shift will cause the vector plates not to shoot you down the hole, and have some form of lighting system that you can turn on and off so that you can actually service this. Now your gap needs to be at least 2 wide so that spiders don't get stuck. And still kind of talking about the lights, some mods actually either let daylight through their lamps, or their lamps seem to actually count as daylight, and I only know that because some of the other guys on the server were using all these different really cool lamps, and it was actually lighting their cursed earth on fire, which means you have to get a new drop of evil. Now they just drop down onto spikes. Now initially I would just do iron spikes because they don't drop XP until you're ready to gather XP, then move to gold if you want the XP, and eventually diamond is the goal because it drops player loot items, and you can eventually enchant them and things like that. Get a vacuum chest, which will gather everything up, hopper that down into a buffer chest so that you can shoot that out into whatever type of piping you're using. Originally I was using extra utilities pipes, and then I eventually moved to conduits once I had a solid source of ender pearls. There's an XP vacuum on one end of the room that's gathering up all the XP that's dropping from these spikes and pumping it into an obelisk. I've never seen a cap on these. There may be one. I've never hit it. Now the crafting table next to it is actually because I keep all my experience on that, and so I'll just pull the experience off, do whatever crafting I need that requires experience, like golden lassos for example, then just throw my experience back on the obelisk. Now if you wondered how I got so many ender lilies on a multiplayer server, we were all kind of sharing them. The drop rate on the seeds has gotten ridiculous. So I'll just gather a little bit of this outside row up right now, and you'll notice I'll already have a few. If I gather the whole thing, I can easily sometimes get 7. One time I got 11, so you get a lot of extra seeds that way. Of course, plant them on in stone. Now we also started our engineering building with the water mills on the bottom floor, but we'll get there. and the Magic Palace is almost ready for Botania. Remember, the bottom floor is going to be Blood Magic. The top floor, which we haven't really even started yet, will be our Draconic Evolution, but I think Botania is coming up soon. That's really it for this week. If you want to see a build in more detail, if you want maybe more of a tutorial on how I'm doing something, or you just want to see me dive into a different mod first, since I'm kind of coming up on like Botania and I need to finish extra utilities and I got a lot of directions I could go, just let me know. Please like this video if you like Minecraft Mondays, or if you just like what we do here at Work to Game. Feel free to check out our other videos. We post on all kinds of things. Yesterday I talked about the history of Zelda from a lore standpoint and how we get ready for Breath of the Wild. I think Saturday Brian put out a really good controller guide for Astrologian on Final Fantasy XIV. So we're always changing it up. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, that's a great way to keep up with all these videos because we're posting almost every day. Thanks for watching.